Winning the Super Bowl is the ultimate prize in football. Unfortunately, not every trophy presentation goes as smoothly as planned.
Direct your attention to the field.
I said after the trophy.
Belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles.
We have seen some extremely awkward moments during the ceremonies meant to celebrate the league's best over the years. Let's take a look back and call out the 10 most aggressively awkward Lombardi Trophy presentations of all time. 2018 Super Bowl. 2018 was a pretty big year for Philadelphia as the Eagles finally secured their first Super Bowl win. Diehards all over the city of brotherly love lost their collective minds, with actor and comedian Kevin Hart being among them. Only problem was, Hart wasn't actually in Philly. He was at the game and made an intoxicated attempt to get on the stage with the team as the Lombardi Trophy was being presented, leading to the ridiculous photo that later surfaced showing Hart seemingly arguing with a security guard that doubles him in size as he tried to get on the podium.
That guy did his job.
He did his job.
Thank God. Thank God he did his job that day, because I was a little thing called intoxicated.
Unfortunately for Hart, and I guess apparently the city of Philadelphia, his mission was dead on arrival, leading to a memorable but extremely awkward trophy ceremony moment. 2001 Super Bowl. The 2001 Super Bowl was one of the most thorough beatdowns in Super Bowl history, as Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens curb stomped the New York Giants 34-7. Some of our younger fans may only remember the preacher version of Ray Lewis that we saw later in his career, but at the time, he was one of the last players that the NFL wanted under the spotlight, as he was at the center of a murder investigation from an altercation that took place following the prior year's Super Bowl when he was in town as a spectator. But as fate would have it, his Ravens found themselves atop the mountain the very next year, and Lewis earned MVP honors, and an extremely uncomfortable trophy ceremony shortly thereafter. Lewis tripped over his words, saying,
"The thing is, the man upstairs tells you, I never.
And if that weren't enough, well, there was this cringe soundbite from Art Modell, and the weirdest forced laugh these 2 years have ever heard. The NFL sure was lucky that there was no social media at the time. This would have lit up the threads for weeks. 2008 Super Bowl. Now, I don't want to begrudge a guy for getting emotional after a heck of an accomplishment, but Giants star receiver Plaxico Burress had a super awkward meltdown during his big moment in New York's trophy ceremony.
It means so much.
Thank you, Plaxico.
Without a doubt, it was a heck of a win, and he caught the game-winning touchdown and all that. So we're not gonna blame him, but it's still a bit of a weird moment. And if that weren't enough, Terry Bradshaw's way too close interviews on the podium definitely secured this ceremony's place on this list. 2017 Super Bowl. Say what you will about the 2000s and 2010s New England Patriots. I mean, yeah, they were arrogant, they were reviled, they were at times known to push the boundaries when it came to the NFL's rules and regulations, but when the chips were down, more often than not, they found a way to deliver. And there is no better example of that than 2016/2017's NFL season, when Brady and Belichick put together perhaps their most impressive campaign to date. And that was on the heels of the Deflategate scandal. For anyone who was lucky enough to have somehow missed the biggest non-story in the history of the NFL, Brady and the Patriots found themselves under Roger Goodell's microscope after reports surfaced that the PSI in the footballs used during the 2014 AFC Championship game between New England and Indianapolis, which was a massive blowout by the way, was lower than the league standard. 11 of the 12 footballs used in the first half were judged by the officials to be under the minimum of 12.5 PSI, but just one was 2 pounds under. Many of them were just a few ticks under the minimum. While this may not seem like a big deal to anyone with an ounce of common sense, the NFL did what it does and built a mountain out of molehills, putting the Patriots under a year-plus-long investigation, which ultimately resulted in Tom Brady receiving a 4-game suspension during the aforementioned 2016 season, and owner Robert Kraft had to pay a $1 million fine. The Patriots, however, rallied off 3 wins and 4 tries during Brady's absence and marched all the way to the Super Bowl, where they pulled off the greatest comeback in history, and Brady earned MVP honors on the back of 466 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a game-tying 91-yard drive in the final minute of play. Needless to say, the exchanges between Commissioner Goodell and the Patriots' Big Three were as awkward as humanly possible. For a group that had plenty of good wins, I think this one had to be up there, especially with how they got to rub it in Goodell's face in front of the entire world. 1984 Super Bowl. While our modern NFL fans may think that Robert Kraft versus Roger Goodell is the ultimate owner-commissioner rivalry, many NFL historians would probably argue that today's duo couldn't even hold a candle to the animosity between NFL mogul and former Raiders owner Al Davis and then-commissioner Pete Rozelle. These two had a blood feud back in the 1980s, and when his squad climbed to the top of the NFL universe in 1984, knocking off a defending champion Washington's side in empathetic fashion, well, he had the opportunity to stare his enemy in the face as he received that trophy. Oh yeah, just some all-time stuff right there. 2006 Super Bowl. When an NFL owner gets to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, it's supposed to be a moment of pure triumph. For Dan Rooney, that moment arrived after the Steelers took down the Seahawks in Super Bowl 40. And while the win itself was historic, securing Pittsburgh's first championship since the 1970s, the trophy presentation, that was unintentionally hilarious due to the geriatric's brutal voice crack on the mic.
Carl and his staff, it's just been marvelous, and we're so thrilled to bring that back to Pittsburgh.
What happened there? 2020 Super Bowl. Kansas City had been waiting a long time to lift the Lombardi Trophy. So when Clark Hunt, the Chiefs chairman and CEO, took the mic to celebrate the team's Super Bowl 54 victory, it should have been a euphoric, chest-thumping moment for Kansas City. Instead,
Chiefs Kingdom, you guys are world champions once again. Woo!
now, don't get it twisted. Chiefs Kingdom was absolutely fired up. But this wasn't a natural in-the-moment eruption of emotion. It just felt more like a dad trying a little too hard to hype up the crowd at a wedding toast. You gotta think that Mahomes and Reed standing nearby had to have that kinda yucky, cringe, alright then sort of feeling. 2015 Super Bowl. If you think that NFL players have big egos, well, how about their billionaire owners? Take the New England Patriots' Robert Kraft, for example. The man seemed to lose himself during his speech during the ceremony after their admittedly epic win over the Seahawks in the 2015 Super Bowl. I get that he experienced all the highs and lows in a matter of minutes, with the game seemingly being over before Pete Carroll and co. made one of the most infamous mistakes in NFL history, throwing the ball from the goal line despite having the league's most bruising back at the time, Marshawn Lynch, ready to bowl into the end zone and secure the team's second consecutive championship. But still, that doesn't excuse Kraft from going on some bizarre diatribe comparing his various Super Bowl wins and inadvertently stating that this win was more impactful than the one that he, for some reason, believed healed the nation following the tragedy of 9/11.
It happened at a unique time in our country when it meant a lot.
If that wasn't enough to make the ceremony as a whole cringeworthy, how about the brutal interview of head coach Bill Belichick when the NFL exec made the mistake of asking Belichick if he thought he'd win another Super Bowl again? You know, given the 10-year gap since his last championship.
Did you ever think you were going to get your hands on another one of those, Coach? Sure did.
Man, if looks could kill. Bill looked like he was ready to throw hands on the spot. But he managed to keep his composure and responded in classic Belichick fashion. Sure did. Man didn't even flinch. Understandably so. It takes gall to ask a man like Bill Belichick such a question in that tone, especially after a massive win like that. The cherry on top of a bizarre trophy ceremony though, and one fitting for the end of that year's Super Bowl if you ask me. 2000 Super Bowl. NFL owners have a lot of money, yes, but that doesn't mean that they're always the brightest, nor are they the most eloquent of speakers.
Did the right thing in going to St. Louis. This trophy.
If you need evidence of this, look no further than the speech that Georgia Fontier delivered after her St. Louis Rams knocked off the Titans in the 2000 Super Bowl 23-16.
This trophy belongs.
Get to the point, Georgia. 2009 Super Bowl. During the early years of the league, few NFL players dominated the headlines the same way that Broadway Joe Namath did. The former New York Jets quarterback was one of the best signal callers of his generation and, in many ways, a cultural icon. However, he, like many, struggled to keep his footing once his playing days came to an end. And he developed an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, which only worsened in the early 2000s following his divorce. And ultimately, it came to a head during a humiliating exchange with Susie Colbert during a sideline interview. In Namath's book, he called that moment a turning point in his life. I saw it as a blessing in disguise, says Namath, who admitted to being drunk during the interview. I had embarrassed my friends and family and could not escape that feeling. I haven't had a drink since. And you know, all credit to Namath for cleaning up his act and getting sober, but his entrance during the 2009 Super Bowl ceremony, when he was tasked with delivering the trophy, was still mighty awkward. I'm sure he was feeling the pressure of the moment, or maybe maybe he just got caught up in the moment. I don't know, it's just something away about how he was twitching and couldn't stop barking at the players. It's just an awkward moment for anyone watching. But hey, which Super Bowl trophy presentation do you think was the most awkward? Who do you think we're right on? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.